same as aid hasn't done any good to Pakistan, Bangladesh, or even Sri Lanka till Mahinda came into power and wanted aid to come in on our conditions rather than on their conditions. Why they give us something on the other hand and hold us back on our policy decisions on the other things is well demonstrated. I can quote the example of what the Germans did for the maternity hospital at Karapitiya. Now if you go to Karapitiya, you could see the maternity hospital completely only the foundations being put after 5 years after the tsunami. They promised the best hospital in the southern hemisphere to be built according to German standards at that place, because a former German chancellor was here during the tsunami, and it was undertaken and it was promised by the German ambassador at that time that it will be built like this from this foundation. But moment they saw that the so-called peace agreement was dropped after the LTT massacred in 2006 people, and then Mahinda decided that he should ask the military to wipe the LTT out, and the military carried out that order. When that campaign started, Germans stopped the aid coming flow to Sri Lanka. So how the politics decide the economic aid? And always the West has used this so-called human rights argument for aid. But it is not human rights, but they are after it. What they are after is economic advantage to them. Not that they love us. They want to make some money out of it. I have come across a number of examples if you want to know.
Yes, we will definitely want to know about those things, because I think it will give us a better idea of what you are discussing now. So we will just take a short break, Mr. Tissa de Silva, and we will... You are watching Roundtable. Welcome back. And we are speaking to Mr. Tissa de Silva. He is an independent consultant and an engineer and an environmentalist. And he really wanted to stress that he is an independent person who has never participated in a discussion which had any political connotation before. And he said that he participated in this discussion and made a request to the channel because he thought this is a crucial time, and a crucial time where independent professionals should voice their opinions. So to the question why it is crucial, what he says is there's an election that is upcoming, and he thinks the vote has to be used in the most intelligent manner. According to his analysis, he thinks that if you look at the opposition, the TNA and the UNP and the JVP, he sees that as a couple of forces that are quite destabilizing, headed by Mr. Sarath Fonseca, and then he said that Mr. Fonseca can use that instability that might prevail even after the elections to go into something like a military takeover, and he quoted examples as how it has happened in other countries. And then he also goes to the other topic that we were on, that is how that will be beneficial to foreign forces, especially Western powers, who would want a more sort of a puppet to be installed in countries, third world countries like us, who has the resources and a lot of development taking place, because if that is the case, they can go for their economic advantages according to their terms and not according to the terms that is most beneficial to the country per se. So on that note, Mr. De Silva, you wanted to explain and give us more examples on how foreign forces and foreign powers might want to channel their efforts.
Yeah. Now the example I'm quoting is from what I experienced as a engineering environmental consultant on Beruela Harbour in somewhere around 2004. Now I met this Norway engineer, he's from Iceland, working for the Norway on the upgrading of Beruela Harbour. So at lunch we were having a free conversation, and I asked him why are you giving us this aid? What is the reason behind your giving us to make the Veruwala Harbour a grade 1 environmentally useful place for unloading and catching of tuna and other fish? He said it is simple, that we want you to export the tuna fish to us. That is one reason, because we can't get good fish in Europe, because all our waters in the Atlantic are contaminated and we can't get good tuna from that side. So we have to come to the Indian Ocean to exploit the fish. So then I said, I am a person from down south, and fish has been our main course. Even today, early morning in Gaul, I go and buy the fish from the fishermen who come there with fresh fish straight off the line. Now, he said, this is the actual words he said. I told him, look here, what will our people eat if you take all our tuna to your country? Because the people will not be able to pay $30–40 like what you would pay for the tuna. He said, no, we don't want you all to eat the fish. We can send you fish from the Atlantic in tins. And that is exactly what the Ranil Wickremesinghe government did to us, importing tin fish from Chile and the Atlantic countries, South America, to us, and then our fresh fish was taken away. I have seen fishermen from Hambantota to Gaul, what they eat at the end of the day are what is thrown out, or the body parts inside, like the stomachs, the liver, that time. The good tuna is all cut up and sent to this for export market. So any medical person will say, because lack of fish will bring our, not only the brains down of the southern people, of the Sri Lankan people, but also nutrition for our children. So their reasoning is, we must get the best to Europe, because we can pay. And that is the logic on which the tourism operates. All those things operate. The simple this thing, how can we exploit you? So the European people are trying to keep us at a lower level of development. But we should understand, we can't allow that to go on. We should understand where we should exert ourselves, and whole idea of development is to bring our level also up to the level of them.
So are you saying that His Excellency the President is in a better position to do this task that you are saying?
Obviously he has demonstrated it very well. He has demonstrated it, that when we want aid for our purpose. Now, for instance, now it should. Now, none of the so-called World Bank, IMF gave us aid for that. He somehow got the aid from China. Now Hambantota Harbour, for the last 60 years, people have been talking. My friend Captain George Hendricus, who died recently at Kohuala, was the harbour master. He used to say that the Hambantota Harbour is the best harbour Sri Lanka should develop. Not so much Colombo. We should develop the Hambantota Harbour, because 300 to 400 ships pass that way, and they will be forced to stop. But why didn't we develop that? Why didn't Asia, all these so-called World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and all these so-called consultants who come here at a tremendous cost on our name, recommend that to be developed? Because they know that if that develops, they have been influenced by Singapore, and our people were working, our previous politicians were all working for foreign masters, I might say, or they will cringe behind the foreigners. That is what Mrs. Babi exposed and told, that rapacious West, we can't wait for the rapacious West to tell us. at that time, and she started these things. Where Singapore knows if Hambantota develops, it will be the greatest competition to them. So they won't want that. So the main reason they stopped that. But Mahinda had to come to put up that development process at what we wanted. Then we never had a railway system after the British left. The reason being because the British brought the railway not for our good, but to transport their tea and rubber to the Colombo